Back on the side of like not having velo, it's like I've proven that I can get hitters out with 90, 89. Whether it's 89 to 94, it still works with the arsenal that I have.
You're not actively trying to get faster than that?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay, you are.
100%. Everyone's chasing velo.
Hanging out with Cooper Hjerpe today. Cooper, I want to start with your youth and growing up in the West Coast. What were you like as a kid, man?
So grew up, was born in Davis, California, NorCal guy. A lot of SoCal guys on this team, but I think there's only a select few that are NorCal in the Cardinals org. But Cape, California is where I grew up. Born in Davis, and then went to high school in Woodland, so kind of in that triangular area of Sacramento. But yeah, Cape, I think the population was like 500 people. So it was a really small town. Like, it wasn't even a town. It was just kind of people living here, like kind of scattered. So bit of a country boy growing up, and then went to high school with a couple of buddies that I met through like travel ball and stuff when I was like 12 at a young age. And then they were like, you should come to high school with us, because at first I was going to elementary school in Esparta, which was kind of just like the close connected area with where I was like living at the time. And then wasn't the best area for like education, and so I think with Woodland being the next stop and knowing more people there, that's where I kind of decided to go, and it was a better option. But yeah, that's pretty much my childhood, location wise. So.
And that's like unincorporated, right? Where you grew up was like an unincorporated territory.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
So pretty small. What were you doing outside of baseball? Like, I imagine you played pretty young, but what else were you up into doing?
So like I said, it was pretty outdoorsy. So I was hunting and fishing a lot. I think that was instilled into me at a pretty young age with my dad always hunting, and especially my uncle. My uncle's a huge hunter. Like, he, in the months of October through November, he's like gone, and he's in like Wyoming with his family hunting. Wow. So he kind of instilled that into us, and my dad as well. And so we were hunting a lot, deer, pigs, whatever was around there. We were hunting and fishing at the same time, so it's pretty cool.
So you weren't like indoorsy at all? You weren't playing any video games?
I was. Like, no, don't get me wrong. Like, in the high school area, I was definitely playing some games when Fortnite was a thing in the prime. Nostalgia, that was definitely what we were ripping in high school. But I definitely had time for video games too.
Okay, love that. So in that Sacramento area, kind of a weird area for MLB fandom. So where were you at on the dividing lines of what your major league team was growing up?
It was the A's, because my dad was a huge A's fan when they used to be good. And so we would go to A's games all the time, ODOT Coliseum. That place was awesome when I was a kid, pretty historical with all the guys that have played there, Ricky Henderson, all those guys. That was our team, and they were pretty good at the time. And so between them and the Giants, I think it was kind of a rivalry between my family and my mom's sister's family, because they were the Giants and we were the A's, and so we kind of always butted heads, and it was just a fun little rivalry that we had. But huge A's fans when I was a kid.
Were you one of those kids that was like playing in the backyard or whatever and pretending to be anybody?
Oh yeah, wiffle ball. I'd have my dad be out there for like hours at a time throwing me wiffle balls and acting like I was pimping home runs and stuff. So, but the funny thing is, like, when I was an A's fan, Sonny Gray was on that team, and he was one of my favorite pitchers, which is pretty cool. And he's on the Cardinals now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was sick.
Because he was here for a hot second. Well, you weren't here yet. Yeah, because you were in Peoria.
Yeah.
Because he made like a live BP situation, whatever, like right before the season started. Yeah. So dang, you just missed him. But I imagine you ran into him at Springer.
Yeah, and he was like strictly business, man. Like, there was no talking. Like, when it was his time to go or like throw a bullpen, that's all he was like about. Like, there was no talking. You would just watch him do his thing, and he was pretty vocal about it. Like, throughout his bullpen, it was like execution. Like, I want to throw this here, and gave the reasoning why, and then he would execute. Like, it was pretty sick to watch that guy do his work. So, like,
very tactical.
Yes, very tactical, very cerebral, all that stuff, just like locked in.
So are you the same way? Like, are you a guy like, don't talk to me on my day?
I used to, and kind of grew out of it. I think it was just because like that competitive nature instills in you in college, especially. That's when it's first like, okay, like, this is like really important games. And so throughout the 3 years I was there, I kind of like grew out of it and like realized it's a game. Like, it's going to be tough, and you're going to get humbled. So you just got to take that with a grain of salt. At the same time, you are competitive, but it's not consuming you.
Sure.
Is how I look at it. So
Went to Woodland High School out on the West Coast. Dustin Pedroia also went there. Did you ever run into him? Did he come out to you guys?
Yeah, so he never came out to us, but my best friend, Nick Vogt, who's on the Padres, he lived in Woodland. And his next-door neighbor was his parents.
Oh, wow.
And so we went over there, and there was one day where he came for the off-season, and we got to meet him, which was pretty cool. But that was the only time I've ever really met him. There was another time where we were playing ASU when I was at Oregon State, and he went to the game, and he had his Little League team there and stuff. But other than that, no, it was just that one time.
How old were you that first meeting?
12 or 13 maybe. Okay. So I was still pretty young.
Yeah.
But maybe a freshman in high school, I would assume. Maybe middle school.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere around that range. Yeah. What was that program like, man? Like you said, kind of a strange area, coming from a smaller town. So what was the competition level in that area?
It was poor. Our high school team sucked. But no, it was fun. At that point, it was just all about having fun. And with that team, it was very fun. I enjoyed going to the field like I do now, but it was just there was no worries, it was competitive, but it was more fun than that.
Sure.
And so I think that kind of made me fall in love with the game even more. And then going to Oregon State, that's where it kind of became a more competitive edge to the game. But no, that's kind of where I fell in love with baseball, because I wasn't even really, you want to play professional baseball and be in the big leagues, but at that point I was just not even thinking about that and having fun.
Sure.
Whereas in college and now, obviously that's the goal. So
of course. Do you remember March 26th, 2019? Does that date mean anything to you?
March 26th, 2019? I have no idea.
You had a 5-inning perfect game against Mira Loma High School where you struck out 15.
Oh man, see, that's what I mean when I say we suck. It was just I had a fastball and I was just grooving the fastball down the middle and they were swinging and missing. So I do not remember the specific date, but I remember the game. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, so you struck out every batter you faced.
Yes.
Do you consider that a perfect game in your head because it only went 5? Because you've almost done that here now.
I mean, technically it is a perfect game, but it is not 9 innings.
Yeah.
But I think in my head, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It's still pretty sick. I don't know.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
It's better than I ever did, but still. That perfect game, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it. If it's the Mad Bum 7-inning no.
Yeah.
It started like a crazy stretch for you guys. I don't know if you remember this either. You won that game 11-0. You won the next game 12-0. The game after that 11-0. Then it was a 1-0 win. Then 11-1, 19-0, 25-0, 24-0, and then 12-1.
Is this high school?
Yeah. Do you remember that at all?
I don't. I don't know how you know this. Where did you get this from?
The internet. Just just looking at your old schedule.
No, I guess we were pretty good then. I mean, in a bad league, but no, we, like I said, we were just having fun and we were rolling. We were all really close. We're still all really close. I'm buddies with probably 60% of that team still from high school. So it's it was a pretty close group, and enjoyed every second of it. And that just, when you're having fun and playing together, you win ball games like that. So
I know that's roughly, at least from my understanding, where the sidearm delivery kind of started, right? Was that in high school? How did that all come to be?
Everyone asks me that, and I literally do not remember when I started throwing like that. I've just felt like it's been natural my whole life, and then watching videos, I guess it's kind of evolved into that to an extent. Even in college, I look different in a sense, but it's still that pretty deceptive delivery, to it. So I guess high school is where it kind of became a factor in my pitching, but because in Little League and stuff, you don't really notice that kind of thing. But I think junior year of high school is when it started to become really deceptive. Whoa, this guy's got a pretty funky delivery.
Okay, so you were doing that at least in some effect, in Little League kind of still.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
It's just
I'd have to ask my dad because he was one that was actually watching me. Yeah. Because it's kind of hard. It feels natural to me right now, and I'm doing it, but it's still a pretty funky delivery to obviously everyone else. So I'll have to ask him about it.
And that's another 1-2-3 inning for Cooper Hjerpe, who is not allowed to hit through 5 scoreless frames.
Let's talk a little bit about college, man. I want to talk about Goss Stadium, your old college park at Oregon State, the oldest ballpark in the country. I don't know if you knew that. It opened in 1907. Fenway opened in 1912. Rickwood opened in 1910. So you played in the oldest ballpark in the country.
Did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Does it feel old? I know you're playing on turf, which is a little strange, but did it feel old in that regard?
No, they do a lot of renovations to it year by year, and so they take really good care of it because it's the pride and joy of Corvallis for the most part. Obviously, our football team is doing a lot better than they have in the past. But like honestly, like not to sound like in a bad way, like baseball was the thing in Corvallis, and so they were always taking care of it the best care they could because that's what brought the people in and brought a championship home in 2018 and stuff like that. 06, 07 obviously, but it was awesome to play there because it's like Power 5. It's still gritty, like it's not SEC schools. You got everything handed to you and stuff like that. No, I'm joking, but no, that's cool. It was really fun. They always recruit the great characteristics in guys and stuff like that, and you create these lifelong friends too. On the opposite side of playing good baseball, like I'm buddies with every single one of the guys that I went to college with. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's also like on campus, which is becoming more and more rare.
Yeah,
because I think even USC at this point is
fiddling
with the idea of moving out of Dado.
Yeah, because they have like the Olympics there or something.
Yeah,
so
it's coming in 28. Yeah.
They're wrecking everything and getting ready for that. But yeah, no, it's a great spot. I mean, Corvallis is kind of out like almost in the middle of nowhere, but it's like once you get into Corvallis, it's got that college vibe. So it's a pretty cool little area. It's not busy, but it's packed.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Kind of like it's like exponential compared to your high school because obviously we already talked about Dustin Pedroia, but the Oregon State alumni class is it's pretty stacked.
Yeah.
Jacoby Ellsbury, Michael Conforto, Darwin Barney, Stephen Kwan, Adley, Madrigal.
Yep.
Would any of those guys ever swing by?
Oh yeah, I think. I mean, I trained with Rutsch this last year, and he's a really good dude. Humble as they come, especially Kwan. Kwan came back to Oregon State the year before I got drafted, and he was like, I've never played with the guy, but it felt like I did, which is pretty cool. Great dude, like have nothing bad to say about him. Like he was just very genuine, down to earth dude.
I know that some programs, I mean, depends on where they are and depends on like the relationship with the head coach and stuff. They'll like bring those guys in at the start of the season or fall ball or whatever when they're available. Was that part of the program at the Beavers? Were they like, here comes Jacoby Ellsbury to talk to us for a half an hour or whatever?
Yeah, no, Jacoby never came, but I can't remember anyone in like certain, but I think Cannon would have a bunch of his buddies come in and talk to us. I know our pitching coach brought his pitching coach in from when he was in minor league baseball and stuff like that. But we'd have like guys pop in here and there with things to say. I know Harold Reynolds came, the reporter for MLB. He grew up in Beaverton, so he was always close to home for us, which was in Corvallis, and stopped by a couple times for playoffs and stuff. So other than that, not really. But we'd always have a few guys come in and talk to us, whether it was like old pitching coaches and whatnot. So
yeah, I'm gonna throw another date at you. April 1st, 2022. Do you remember that date?
That was my draft year.
Yeah.
April. Who were we playing?
Stanford.
I do remember that one.
Yeah, I think you would remember this one. 8 shutout versus Stanford, 17 strikeouts. Do you remember who closed that game for Stanford?
Was it Quinn?
It was Quinn.
Yeah.
Quinn Matthews closed that game. You lost that game 1-0 after 8 shutout with 17 Ks.
Yeah.
How pissed were you about that? Like, were you like steaming after that game?
I mean, it was just like I did everything I could. So I wasn't pissed, but I was just like, how? You know what I mean? But that's baseball. Like you can have the game of your life, and you could put up a 0, and the other team in this case puts up a 0, and you can go 0-0-0-0 until the 18th inning, and your outing wouldn't matter. So it's like that's baseball. But at the end of that day, I was just like, dude, like how?
Like what more could I have done?
No, seriously. I was just like came out of the 8th, or after the 8th, and I was just like, hey, we have to win this game. And then Quinn comes in and just shoves. They score 1, and it's like over. And it was just like that.
Yeah.
So that's baseball, but like at the same time, it sucked. It sucked. I wasn't pissed, but I was frustrated.
Yeah.
For sure.
How could you not be?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys have never talked about that then.
If you Quinn, 100%. I didn't know the date, but yeah, he doesn't live it down.
Oh, of course. Quinn doesn't forget anything.
No. He went to Stanford. These guys got a steel trap about like what happened on this time last week. Stuff like that, like it's weird. But
Yeah,
he's
no. We had him on the show, and like we rewatched some of the highlights from his 156 pitch game.
Yeah, that's absurd.
And he was like, I remember like 140 of these pitches. I'm like, dude, I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Like, I don't know what's going
exactly.
on. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Steel trap.
Yeah. Let's talk 2022 though, man. It's a laundry list, man. Like I know I'm sure you remember this, but I imagine you don't remember everything you won or were considered for. Golden Spikes finalist, Dick Hauser finalist, multiple pitchers of the year, and All-American selections, all-region, all Pac-12, pitcher of the week, player of the week. He led the country in strikeouts. Like, where's your head at when you think back to 2022 now that you're about 2 years removed?
It's a great year. I just wish we went to Omaha and we never got to. That's like, obviously the holy grail is like all of those things and then getting to Omaha and winning it. And so part of me doesn't feel like I fulfilled my college career. Obviously, like everyone that doesn't go to Omaha feels that way. But from those statistics right there, it leaves you in a good headspace for sure. Obviously, coaching staff had a big role in it. I mean, the pitching coach there was calling all the pitches. So it's like most of those awards are him because he's calling the pitches and he's the one calling the game and being methodical about it. I'm the one over there just throwing the baseball. So huge shout out to Rich Dorman with development and stuff like that. They have a great pitching coach, great staff there at Oregon State. So hats off to them. But yeah, no, it was going into that off season, went to Driveline 2, did some pitch design stuff, and that's kind of where I wouldn't say found my slider, but like kind of had an idea of how to throw a slider. And at that point, I was still throwing a curveball from that arm slot that I have. So it's like, if you want to throw a curveball with depth, it's going to be pretty hard to throw it when you're already down here because there's no depth left to throw it with. So that's like where they were like, okay, we're probably not going to have you throw a curveball and go to something more east-west, like horizontally throwing. And so that's where like they helped me out with like how to do that. And from there, I mean, they helped me develop my changeup and all that stuff. But went back to Oregon State and just started messing around with slider grips, well, sweeper grips in this case is what they're calling it now. So just found a grip and just like stuck with it, and then it was just comfortable right away, which is like wasn't happening with the other grips. And so based off of what they told me with like certain cues, like minimizing cues, which like simplifies it and stuff like that, was how I kind of found my sweeper grip, and I'm still throwing it today. So that was a huge addition to the arsenal.
I'm always curious how the Driveline stuff works because it's obviously very like science-based. And so do they come at you with like, here's 4 grips that we like, and here's like a couple of shapes that we like let's try and combine them, or is it like a collaborative, or are they telling you what to do?
So you'll throw, in the off season, they had me throw 2 bullpens a week, both on pitch design, both on Edgertronic, which is the high-speed camera that they have. But theirs is like really good. It's on this like sliding like beam. And so they can like match where the ball's coming out right behind where you're throwing it. And so that was really helpful. But for the pitch design, they'll be like, okay, we'll try this grip first, like you said. And if that doesn't work, we'll move to the next one. So it's a lot of trial and error with pitch design stuff. So like I said, I didn't develop my sweeper there. It was just like certain grips that they tried didn't work. And then I tried a different one at Oregon State, and it did work. And it immediately felt like coming out of the hand what it was doing what it was supposed to. And so just stuck with it. And then obviously that was a huge addition to the 22 and a big reason why I led in strikeouts and all that stuff. So
do they, like, how quickly are they giving up on one of those grips? Because if they're coming at you with multiple and they're not working, and they're like, try it for a week, see if it works. So they're like, one session, you're like, that thing ain't moving.
Yeah,
we're done.
It's usually the first session that you kind of bang some things like that, unless it's like moving well and it feels uncomfortable and you just keep throwing it more. Or like this grip worked in this bullpen, didn't work in the first few. Like they'll have you keep throwing it until it's like you're saying like, no, that's not going to work. Yeah. So it's all up to you, and it's based off of how you're feeling on the pitch and how it's moving. So
the grip that you ended up landing with, do you know where you got that from? Do you remember? Like a YouTube video or something?
No, I was literally just holding on. Can I grab this ball?
Yeah, go for it.
I was just like trying out like a 2-seam like sweeper, so I was throwing it like this off the index finger, regular like horseshoe grip, how a lot of people throw their curveballs and sweepers. And it felt weird. And I used to throw my curveball spiked like this. Okay. And it felt like I was popping out a lot, like just kind of rolling off this finger and just popping out and like showing like that hump instead of like a tight spin. And so instead of like spiking with my fingernail, I just spiked it with my finger pad. So I felt like I had more
on top of it,
more on top and more control over the ball instead of just one finger basically. And then I threw one with that grip. And like I said, it was just like automatic that I felt. It felt confident and like comfortable and had the right spin.
Okay.
It was pretty random stuff, but it obviously works pretty well now.
Yeah. Going from that side of things, I don't know. It depends on the program, I'm sure. But like some of these bigger schools and stuff, and Oregon State obviously a pretty big school, like going from that world of the analytics and all that, transitioning into the analytics of pro ball, especially when like you start like Florida State League, which is a little different than when you get to AA and the Texas League. What were some of the things that kind of struck you about that transition from a bigger D1 to pro
ball? I think one, obviously the talent's better because it's like every guy in pro ball was the dude at their college to an extent. But I think the biggest difference is the baseballs are different movement-wise. And I couldn't tell you or pinpoint what it was exactly physically about the ball. It was just that, like in college, you know, they tell you about vertical break and all this stuff, and it's just like you get less vertical break with certain like baseballs, especially in pro ball, and like even less with the big leagues. And so I think that was the biggest difference between college and now, is kind of like figuring out how to use your fastball if it has different metrics. Okay. And so for the most part, my fastball still plays the same. It just has a little bit less of certain things like vertical break and has more horizontal now.
Okay. So it's physically like a different manufacturer of the baseball?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's all Rawlings, I'm pretty sure. I think college was Rawlings, but like you'll feel the big league ball and a minor league ball, and like the two seam grip that you feel is like more narrow on a big league ball, and then the one with like a minor league ball is like wider. Huh. And so something aerodynamically, it changes the vertical break on it, like the more like true spin it has, I guess. But you have a little bit less the higher you go up, is what we've heard. So
interesting. Yeah. Okay. What have the Cardinals kind of developed with you? Like, what have they focused on? Like, when you get into a new system in the St. Louis system, like, hi, nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. Like, when they're kind of like breaking things down, you're like, this is what we like, this is what you need to work on.
Yeah.
How like intense is that first session when they're trying to get to know you and vice versa?
Yeah, I think first, like they drafted you for a reason, and so they don't want to change it. Like the strengths you have, and that's kind of what they went over in the first place, was like, your strengths are this. Like, I have a really good like low vertical approach fastball, and so that works at the top of the zone. Whereas like in college, I kind of knew my fastball worked at the top of the zone, but I didn't know why. And so that's where the Cardinals came in, and it was like, your fastball works here because of so-and-so piece of data. Like, it's your vertical approach angle is really good, and they would dive into what that means. And I still really don't know what it means, but it's they got pretty analytical with it, and they have like Chirp and stuff, the app that we use to like see the data after games. And in college, you didn't really have access to that, so it was like kind of understanding what the analytics really meant in certain cases with certain pitches.
So you have like an app, like literally you just like look at your starts on?
Yeah, it's called Chirp. I don't know when I think Ludus like helped them make it, Ryan Ludus with Memphis, and just made his debut this year. But it's a bunch of like outings, like every outing pops up, and it shows you like how many innings, like average pitches per inning, ground ball rate, strikeout rate, strike percentage, and 1-1 counts, 0-0 counts, all that stuff, like fastball strike percentage. So it's like a lot of good data too, and then it goes into like the pitch metrics and stuff. So
is that like one of the apps that you're like laying in bed, like
go
from Instagram over to Chirp?
Like you go onto it immediately after the game, even though you know it's not going to be on there until the next day.
You just keep checking refresh.
Yeah,
that's funny. You're a guy that doesn't like live with the 98, 99s, the Quinn Matthews, Tink Henses of the world. So how have you compartmentalized it in your head that you're here, you're obviously first rounder, had success elsewhere? How do you come to grips in your head that like, hey, I don't have to throw this hard in order to get outs?
I think after playing in pro ball and realizing I'm still striking out a bunch of guys, and I think the main thing I need to work on is like throwing more strikes and throwing in the zone more and trusting my stuff. Because I kind of got away from that in college. Like college, I just got after hitters, and like once you get here, it's like, wow, like these guys are really good. And so you try to do too much. And I think that's like with the injuries that I've had, I think I was just trying to do too much, or like do like more than what I had at the beginning of the season. Like at the season, you have a set program, and you usually stick with that. And I haven't really done that. I'd go on social media and be like, oh, that looks really good for like my rotator cuff, my posterior cuff stuff, like strength, and I'll start doing that. And just kept adding on, which adds up over time.
Sure.
And so I think overworking was a huge thing, health-wise. But like back on the side of like not having velo, it's like I've proven that I can get hitters out with 90, 89. Whether it's 89 to 94, it still works with the arsenal that I have.
You're not actively trying to get faster at that?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay, you are.
100%. Everyone's chasing velo, but that's more of like a off-season thing. Like if you get in the off-season sick, now you got it in season. But if you're worrying about velo too much in season, obviously you want to make sure it's not dropping. And so whatever you have at the beginning of the season is usually what like you stick with, and it's like, all right, let's ride. But everyone's always chasing velo, regardless of like where you're at in the season, just like subconsciously, for sure.
6 Ks through 4 innings for Cooper Hjerpe, and he has not allowed a hit.
All right, Cooper, one last thing we got for you. We do this on every episode. It's called the Cardinals Quickfire.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a whole bunch of questions that have nothing to do with each other, and we just throw them at you and see how you do.
Okay.
So let's rock and roll with these. We talked a lot about your pitching, a lot of the pitches you got, fastball, cutter, slider, change. Mm-hmm. I know your dad also pitched in college. Do any of the grips you currently use, did he teach you them?
Nope.
Did he ever teach you any grips?
Yeah, he tried to teach me his changeup. He threw his changeup like a palm ball, and it was just weird. And I couldn't, like when I would try to throw it, he threw it like, dude, it was like the last knuckle that he was throwing with, and he was like, just roll it off those. And every time I threw it, it just goes straight left. And so like I could not do that.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of figured out certain things, especially with being a lefty and that from the low slot, it was just kind of hard to throw the stuff that he did because he was over the top, like a stock arm slot and stuff. You know, like
he was a righty?
Yeah, he was a righty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you guys are big on fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
How are the Cardinals deciding draft order this year?
We're actually doing it today. We're playing fungo golf.
Oh.
So huge disadvantage to the pitchers. So like Butch and Jimmy and Church all have an advantage. I think Yeager too. So it's like
so you're going
whoever's
you're
closest.
Going last.
Yeah, it's like closest to the pin.
Okay.
With you get 3 shots. So it's like closest to the pin, obviously. And if you don't like your shot, you can try again, but you don't get your original shot. So if your second shot's further away, that's just how it is.
Okay.
You got to go again. But yeah, closest to the pin, fungo golf today.
Best of luck on that, man.
Thank you.
Oregon State has some really weird, unique classes. A couple of them. How to keep your pet dinosaur alive. Is Facebook a noun or a verb? And exploring the biology of Pandora. Did you take any offbeat classes at Oregon State?
I took a music class, but no, I never took anything other than that. I know one of the guys took a billiards class, which was pretty cool, but I never got around to it. I still have like 30 credits left in school, so I might take one of those as an elective if I have room.
Are you currently in school, or are you going to
Not
go back?
yet, no.
Okay.
I'll go back probably this fall or in the spring.
Okay, so you want to finish that degree then? Yeah, awesome, man. What was your favorite thing about living in Oregon? It's a beautiful state, obviously.
Yeah, I miss the summers.
Especially when you're down in Frisco.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the summer, like Oregon gets a bad rap, man. Like it does rain a lot in the winter and early, like late fall. But when it's summertime, like it's perfect. Like there is no rain, rarely rains, and it's just pure sun, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
did you ever get out to Yosemite growing up where you grew up?
I did at a really, really young age with my grandparents and my parents, but I do not remember it.
Okay.
I remember we stayed in like these tents that they had for like the public that you could rent out. And I remember there being a bear trying to get into a trash can, and because I was scared, like I was just completely scared because I was a kid, and I was like, dude, this bear is like right here. But that's the only thing I remember from it. I don't remember the views or anything, which sucks.
Which like the good part. You don't remember
Yes,
the good part.
no.
Did you ever get to the Redwoods? I know it's a little further, but
Where is that at, Redwoods? Because
like California, that's Eureka.
I mean, yeah. We went to my mom grew up in Eureka.
Okay.
So she goes back there all the time, but we went camping at this really secluded place called Kangaroo Lake, which is in Weed, California, which is pretty much the Redwoods, I would say. But
never like the national park. Like
No.
Okay. Well, you got to get out there, man.
maybe.
Yeah,
I
go
don't
back
remember.
home and do that in the off season or something,
Yeah.
because that's the spot to be.
Okay.
Last road trip, speaking of Frisco, I saw you hop on the bus with a bag from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's breakfast. What's the McDonald's breakfast order?
It was 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles with a medium coffee.
Okay, so
And
you're a
that's it.
McGriddles guy.
Oh yeah,
McGriddles guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had the McCafe.
Yeah.
Are you a coffee guy?
a huge coffee guy.
Okay, what's the coffee order? If it's not,
If
McDonald's.
it's not McDonald's, it's usually a cold brew from Starbucks Grande.
Okay.
But I'm trying to cut back on the caffeine because I was like huge into it last year, like bangs, rains, all that stuff, and it was just like, dude, I was bouncing off the walls, like jittery, like shaking and stuff. So it was like, I got to get off that. So it's been a cold brew day.
Okay,
for-
cold
from
brew
now on.
black.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nitro cold brew or just straight cold brew?
Just straight cold brew.
Okay. Have you had any of the coffee here? Because the coffee's really good in Springfield.
Mm-mm.
You got to venture out, man.
Okay.
We'll talk after.
Okay.
There's coffee all over the place. We just got some coffee today.
Okay.
What happened to your last at bat?
My last at bat,
Yeah.
like in high school,
Whatever your last at bat was. You ain't swinging it anymore, so we'll.
did I strike out?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm asking.
Oh, I don't
you.
know either. I probably struck out because I don't remember it.
Okay. You try to
Yeah.
force that to the back of your
Yeah.
brain? Yeah, for sure. Okay, we asked. This is weird. This has turned into the same questions at the end of the show that
Okay.
we've done with like everybody, because these guys keep giving us great answers. So you're in the hot seat. Biggest animal that you could beat in a fight, as you think about it. TK said a wolf or a manatee. Matt Svanson said an ostrich.
Ostrich?
Yeah, which I'm
No, that
no,
thing's-
no chance.
That thing's beating the crap out of me. These things are huge. Biggest animal.
Not that bear from Yosemite.
No. That's another thing, though, is like the grizzly bear and the gorilla. Grizzly bear's winning that fight 10 times out of 10. Dude, I don't know. Maybe like a... I think I could take down a wolf. Just one.
One wolf.
Yeah. Depends on how big it is, because these things, like, they get pretty big, but maybe a wolf.
A quite literal lone wolf.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get you a wolf.
Okay.
What is the worst pronunciation you've heard of your last name?
Hjerpe, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in college, and it was a summer ball game in Medford, and the announcer said not pitching Connor Hjerpe, which is just like, come on, bro. Like,
None of it right.
no, not a single thing. And I was just like, I think I threw pretty good because I was pissed.
Yeah.
But, that's probably the worst one for sure.
Yeah. I imagine that's not the only time you've gotten that.
No.
Maybe
several
Connor,
times,
but
several times.
Yeah.
I get called Connor a lot, surprisingly,
That's
for some
weird.
reason. Yeah. My parents almost named me Connor, too, which is even weirder.
Oh, that's you have a
Yeah.
middle name?
Austin.
Austin. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not Cooper Connor. Okay. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, probably I like Moneyball just because I was an A's fan, grew up watching it. So
Easy one.
Moneyball, yeah.
Yeah. Classic.
Or American Sniper, that one's really good. Or Lone Survivor.
Okay. Wow. Very dude movies.
Yes.
Very heavy dude on that.
Yeah.
You're not going Pitch Perfect or nothing crazy. Okay. Cheetah Girls. Something.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Last question. Do they have a movie? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Last question. Again, something that we ask all these guys. Alive or dead, one batter to show your best stuff and try and get out. The answers we've gotten this season. Quinn gave a weird one and said Greinke or Ichiro. I don't know why Greinke. TK said Shohei. Tink said Barry Bonds. Swanson said David Ortiz.
Barry Bonds.
And then Church said that he wanted to face Sandy Koufax.
Sandy Koufax.
So
That's
if you
interesting.
could face one guy, show your best stuff, the ultimate test, who would you like to face?
Definitely Aaron Judge right now. Back in the day, honestly, like probably like a Derek Jeter or something. Like
Two
the captain.
Yankees.
Yeah.
Two Yankees.
Derek Jeter and Judge. Because Judge is just raking right now and has been for a while.
Yeah.
So,
Attack plan for Judge?
dude, I don't even know.
Walk him?
I don't know. I don't know what like his holes are. Maybe like
I don't think he has many, dude.
no.
Maybe
he's
high
a
and
big
tight.
guy. Yeah, big guy. So like up and in,
Yeah.
and then change up down and away later. Get him like leaning out over the plate and then up and in again. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna. If
Yeah.
it leaks, it's over though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's over.
I don't know.
I mean, you might have. This is a conversation you might have in a couple of years.
It's
So
true.
maybe
Very
get
true.
ready for this.
Got to look at the scouting report that the Cards have for him.
Yeah. Cooper Hjerpe, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.